Welcome, welcome back. I am Zoe Flowers, back with Psychic Chat with Kimmie.
Oh, yeah, hang on one sec. I'm so sorry. I just can't. I'm so fucked up over this right now. I fucking can't. Hang on. I forgot I was supposed to say anything. I was like, be quiet, be quiet.
All right, we are reading on Leo season, Jupiter and Leo transit. Anything else?
Girl, you are the pro here. You were the pro astrologer. Are we is this the actual intro or are we gonna
Yeah, no, I'm not.
okay,
I'm
so
leaving everything
we just
in.
raw dogging okay, all right.
Yes, we're
Oh,
leaving it
cool.
all
Anyway,
in.
it's
Jupiter
cool.
and Leo. What do we care?
That's cool. Cool, cool, cool.
And
Anyway,
it's Mercury retrograde.
Zoe was really funny before we started recording.
Yeah.
And I just thought she was gonna give me a little grace and do a
No.
little that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm just gonna raw dog this reading. Cool,
Okay.
cool, cool. Anyway, let's do it. Let's
All
go
right,
for
great.
it.
Okay, so we go into Leo season on July 22nd, and that's going to be very exciting. I always love a Leo season. I love a Leo. And then we have this Jupiter and Leo transit. So Jupiter went into Leo at the end of June, around June 30th, if not on June 30th specifically, and it will be with us until April 2027. So I would say look at where Jupiter is in your chart, look at where Leo is in your chart, and maybe you want to magnetize that energy, that part of your life, that part of your chart. So, yeah, so I'm going to just do a reading for all of that from the Star Seed deck. Wow. Oh, see, we love this. Love this. Surrender to the sweetness. Venus energy, pleasure, love, joy, make love to life. And, this is kind of what Kimmie and I were talking about and laughing about before we got on the call. Just having more fun, taking more risks, and what better time to do that during Leo season and during this Jupiter and Leo transit. And, you know, the world is moving very fast. And I think the message here is no matter how much the world is moving, how fast, this is a time for healing, even if it doesn't look like that, even if it doesn't sort of feel like that. So if you are getting swept up in whatever, so many things going on that I don't have to name, the message here is to slow down. Pulse of the mother. We were also talking about Mother Nature, the rise of the divine feminine. And so I feel like this is just a confirmation of what we were also talking about, Kimmie. But if you see this person, they're laying, you know, in that beauty of Mother Nature. So I would say meditating during this time, slowing down during this time, maybe doing some spiritual baths because water is quite present in both of these cards. And it's Cancer season still, right? So this is feeling very Cancerian, right? The mother, the nurturing, the surrendering. It's okay to surrender, to take time for yourself and your own healing. So that's what I have. What do you have? I can't wait to
Well,
see
and
what
I
you.
also want to add to that. That was a really beautiful reading. It is synonymous with what we were talking about before we
Yeah.
not immediately,
Yeah.
but right before then. Um, and so there's also a lot of healing in play,
Yes.
right? There's a lot of healing in play. You
Yes.
really have to be in a state of play to be creative as well. And
Yeah.
so whenever I think of Leo season, I don't immediately think of creativity, but I do think of creation.
Hmm.
And so if you take the time to spend more time in nature and to really reflect on your emotions, and whether that's through like a spiritual bath or whether it's being near more water because we are in Cancer season still, and really using the element of water to help heal ourselves, but also just like go have fun. Maybe it's just you taking your kids to have fun at like, a pool, right? Like a
Yes,
public
yes,
pool.
yes.
Um, Maybe it's going on a trip with your friends down to a lake. Maybe it's just staying in on a Friday night and taking a salt bath and then watching your favorite comfort show.
That's right.
Um, there is a lot of healing in play.
Yes.
So, and I think that it is important to also bring in that element of water. And of course, I love the element of water because I'm Scorpio, so I'm all about that, right? And so for my reading, what I'm using is a friend gifted me this really incredible deck called the Native Spirit deck, and it's by Denise Lynn. And here's the
Oh.
for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's got some animal it has some animal symbolism in it as well. It has a lot of not just animals but like nature scenes in this deck too, which I really appreciate. I like that it blends the two. And so what I'm going to do is actually like a directional reading, so
Great.
northeast, southwest,
Oh, great.
and just kind of take that and see, okay, well, what message do we have from nature and from the animals? Typically, as Zoe brought me on to do like animal readings or like what the animals have to say about a particular season. And so I'm going to do it a little bit different this time. So I want to ask what we need to know. What does the collective need to know? For people watching this, what do they need to know about this upcoming Leo season? Huh. All right, cool. Cool, cool, cool. So the first card that I drew for the South is Flowing River, and I'll talk about that more in detail in just a moment. And then for the West, I got Storyteller. So when I think of the West, I also kind of think about reflecting on things from the past, but bringing it into your present. For the North, so what the energy that's kind of directly above us is shapeshifter. So being able to adapt to your surroundings, right? Maybe flying under the radar, maybe holding in gossip so it's easier to get along with people at work. Kind of makes me think of that. And then to the east, have Freedom Horse, so going forward. And what's really cool about all of these cards, if you notice, is that all of them have like, so even with the Freedom Horse, it's in motion, right? And Flowing River is in motion. Storyteller is a fire and it's in motion. There's a lot of blue in these cards as well. But you also have the kind of fire element with the sun, right? And you have obviously the fire element with Storyteller. But what's interesting to me is this shapeshifter card, and there is a big, I believe this is an elk in the picture, and it's hard to see, but he's kind of like right there. And so, what I really like about this is the only one that depicts stillness, but it's not the stillness within you because you're the one shifting and reshaping yourself and reforming yourself to adapt your surroundings, right? And so when I look at this, I look at so, and you have the water element with flowing river, but what I like is that, and even there's a lake behind Storyteller, and there's the moon, which represents water, right? And the shapeshifter card. Um, and then Freedom Horse has all this movement. And so when I look at this, you think about Leo and Jupiter's like expansion, right? Movement and expansion and getting bolder and bigger. And you don't typically think of taking the time to sit still and heal. And I think that that's a really fascinating part of this upcoming Leo moon. And if I'm not mistaken, when we did our last when we did our last reading, you had brought up healing during Leo season as well, Zoe. Like there was some of that too. It wasn't necessarily a stillness in healing, it was more of like taking time for self-reflection. So if you go back and you look at that video, you did talk about the healing and I did too, which I think that's really fascinating. So what I get is what the animals and what nature is trying to tell us is one, do spend more time in water, but as you're even as you're in movement, there is space to and there is time to self-reflect on things that have happened. So what is a big story and what is the story of your life? So if you look back at Storyteller, what is the big story of your life? What are things that you like to tell people about you above all other things? And not in an egoistic way of like trying to make people like you, but like what is your actual story? Like how were you actually formed as a person? Like what shaped your personality? And then taking that forward and okay, how do you use that? How do you identify the different things that have shaped you and how can you take that and turn yourself into what you really need to be in the present? Or how do you look, what person are you at work versus with your friends, right? We're all different people at work versus with our friends versus at home, but what ways are you shape shifting in and outside of your home, and then taking that further and saying, okay, well, whenever I do all this movement, am I still being my authentic self, or am I being my authentic self in just a more professional version, right? Like when we're at home, like putting on your customer service voice, or are you changing your personality entirely based on the people that you're around? And I think if you look at those two things, well, maybe the question is, have you always try to change yourself for other people, or are you being true to your authentic self? And I think if you can come to an understanding of are you truly being yourself or are you trying to just get people to like you? There's a real freedom in that. And I think that's where Freedom Horse comes in. Of course, that's also expansion and running as fast as you can and enjoying the fun in life. And that goes back to the creativity and play that I mentioned after Zoe's reading. But at the bottom of all this, kind of your base foundation is what's rooted in the southern position is the flowing water. And that's interesting for that to come up in a rooted position, such as the south, because it's like that's your more grounded position, right? You think of like your root chakra, like your one of your southernmost chakras. But a flowing river isn't necessarily like it's grounding in its own way, right? And I think that goes back to what Zoe was saying about maybe taking more spiritual baths and spending more time in nature and understanding that there is this divine feminine energy that's coming in maybe a much more substantial way than we really realize at the moment. I think that's what I got.
I love that. Thank you. It's so interesting that you were taught when you were talking about the storytelling and what's the story of your life. I was thinking that folks could, if they haven't already, look to the third house because that's childhood, that's early education, that's your siblings. So maybe there's some hints there around what what are the recurring stories. Maybe looking at your Chiron to see, what are those narratives that
Mhm.
keep playing and playing that might be a place of wounding as a access point to healing. That's what I was thinking when you were
Oh,
saying.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you were talking about play, they do associate Leo with the fifth house, which is also childhood, the things of childhood, play, creativity. Those things sit in the fifth house. So maybe even looking at the fifth house too.
That's That's something that because I don't have that background, like I would not have thought of. So I'm glad that you brought us back to the astrological perspective of really what we're looking at and maybe where to focus your self-reflection
Yeah,
for this.
maybe. Right? Like maybe the fourth house is the mother, right? So that's that Cancer energy. So it's like maybe looking to the third or the fourth house for the wounding and the fifth house as the exit point, the remedy. So maybe whatever's sitting in your 10th house could give you, your fifth house could give you a hint of like, oh, I could bring more play in here. Like it
Hmm.
would be a natural fit. So looking to the, oh, third, fourth, fifth. Yeah, look at those houses.
You're like, it's just that easy. Just sequentially look at them.
It is. If you know what time you're born, yep. Look at those houses and listen to me and Kimmy.
Listen to me, Kim. Should have heard
Listen
us
to
earlier,
us.
but
Listen to us. That's all I got.
that's all I've got too. There's just a lot of get in the water, get in the water and keep
Mm,
your forward momentum, but take a little bit of time every day to do some self-reflection.
yeah.
That seems to be pretty critically important, and I think that that has like there's a tangible goal in that in what is it that you really want to expand in your life and where is it that you really want to go forward to? And I think in order to get to that, you look at the wounds and you look at, am I really truly being myself? Am I in the career that I want to be in? Am I surrounded by friends who are real friends who really know me? Am I true to myself? Am I taking time to take care of myself? This is a little bit about, well, it's I don't want to just say it's a little about self-care. It's a lot about self-care, but maybe self-care from that really deep self-reflection place rather than always treat yourself, right? But sometimes we need more than just to treat ourselves. Sometimes we
Mm,
need to actually really, really look and see, okay, who am I and where do I really want to go forward? And that's always a question that's on the forefront of my mind anyway, but during this particular season, especially with that Cancer new moon
yeah,
from yesterday, I think that that is a very important direction to go in.
I agree
That's
with
pretty
you. I agree with you. And Mercury retrograde is the time to slow down. This is the time
true.
to do that. It's not all doom and gloom. It's like, yeah, slow down and think about things.
True. Good
Yeah,
point.
I love it. All right, well, that's it. We'll see you next month.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think.
So it's important.
Bye.